Today we're going to look at this Line 6 bass pod XT for bass. This is something we use at church quite a bit. It goes on our bass amp and really is a nice sound to it. Plus it's got a built-in compressor and built-in tuner, so it's just been a nice unit to have. We were having problems with this thing rebooting. It would shut itself off and then start up again. And originally I thought it was the power supply, and because the old power supply was pretty torn up, we'd gotten it from another source, and the lines were obviously damaged and things. So the obvious choice was to replace the power supply. So we did that. After we got the new power supply, everything seemed to be going well, but then it started doing the rebooted thing again, and it was really odd. So I thought, well, maybe it's where the wire actually plugs in here. This is actually the old power source. It actually turned out to not be a problem. So what I did was I wanted to open this up. So anyway, we thought maybe we'd try to see if we could figure out what the problem was. So first I thought it was maybe the power supply, obviously I said that, but then also I thought it may have been the actual plug on the circuit board. Playing with that didn't seem to be a problem. What I found was maybe, and I'm not 100% certain yet, that's why we're going to try this, is it might be the power switch. Wow, now the power switch isn't working. This is interesting. There it goes. All right, so this is weird. So well, that's kind of part of the problem, is now it's doing this. So it's, whatever it is, it's getting worse. Let's see if we can duplicate that with the switch. It's booting up. There it is. Okay. But that's kind of what the problem is. You can feel these diodes here. And as it stays on, man, these little guys get really hot. I was kind of shocked. I had never knew they got that hot before, but these, I compared to some other ones on these boards here, and never felt like that before. So sometimes, as you're sitting here doing nothing, it'll restart again. And I was trying to play with what might make that happen. And some people online had suggested, obviously, the power supply, but I think we ruled that out. But it turned to be maybe the power switch on these things. So I played with it before. I played with them both, but it seemed like I was getting more malfunction out of the switch than I was anything else. And this is getting like really hot here. And that's what's odd. Maybe and it feels kind of loose there. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually, it's not going to do it for me now. Let's wait that a few more minutes. That's getting awfully hot. But that's kind of what part of the problem, I think, is that there might be, I don't know, a short in there or something. We're going to find out here, see if it reboots. Okay, so it's not going to do it this time. And that's the problem with it. It's such an intermittent problem. It did it for me about 3 or 4 times yesterday when I was playing with this. And it seemed to be centered on the switch more than, because I'm playing around with this so much, I wonder if I'm hitting the switch as I'm playing around with it. What I'm going to do is go ahead, so my solution, I believe, is going to be I'm going to attach 2 wires to the switch and just bypass the switch altogether. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is unplug this thing, and we're going to go ahead and solder that. Still, like the whole side of this whole area over here is getting real warm. Wow, all these diodes are getting real hot. So I'm not sure if that's a normal condition or if something else is going on. So I think they're supposed to get warm, but warm can be defined by a lot of things. So I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this, and we're gonna go ahead and just flip it over. And what I'm gonna try to do is get this soldered without getting my big hands in the way too much. If I can do that or not. But basically what I'm gonna do is just solder those 2 wires. This is the switch, just so you can make sure you see that. Okay, and you could remove the switch out of there altogether, but what I want to do is try this. If it stops doing the problem, then I'm going to assume it's correct. If it still does it, then it may not be the switch at all, and I can just simply remove this jumper. So we're just going to solder that in there somehow. All right, as you may or may not be able to see, I put just a jumper wire right here between those 2 contacts, and they could probably be put on there a little bit better, but I just want to see if that makes any difference. If that gets us through the next few Sundays without it cutting out, I'll call that a success. But I'm still not 100% certain if it's a switch or not, but we're going to just bypass the switch and not worry about it. So let's make sure it works even like this. Now, it should just come on when I plug that in. Yep, sure does. Okay. So the switch is bypassed, and if it does it again, then I've got a problem somewhere else. Yeah, see, the switch didn't do anything now. Okay. All right, well, we'll just see what happens. Like I said, the next few Sundays, I'll probably know. As you can see, it didn't happen every time. That's the frustrating part about something like this, is you just don't know what it is for certain. So this is, I figure, about the easiest, cheapest, least intrusive approach. So we'll just try this, and if it works, then we'll be done with it. So anyway, so if you've got a pod that's acting funny, I'll report back here in a few weeks and let you know how it turned out. If it works, or if it doesn't reboot, then I'll just suggest maybe that's something you can look at. Obviously, the power supply is always one of the first things you want to look at, but we'll see. So I'll see you guys in a few weeks. So it's been about 2 weeks. I've got 2 practices and 2 warships, so it's about an hour and a half for each practice. So that's 3 hours and about 3 or 4 hours for each warship morning. So we got several hours underneath this thing, and it hasn't turned off yet. So it appears that bypassing that power switch is what took care of the problem.